Hey everybody, welcome back. We are at episode number 15, and this episode is all about our wedding and the planning of it and the reason we are going down to 2 episodes a month. And so yeah, let's get into it.
The universe brought us together.
That we know.
And together we want to share that story with you.
As well as all of the practices we do to keep our relationship thriving.
Because to us, it feels like our life is a honeymoon.
We want that same joy for all of you. I'm Tim.
I'm Amy, and this is our podcast. This podcast is brought to you in part by Considine Homes, proudly serving your real estate needs in South Florida with honesty and integrity, and offering trusted referral partnerships in all 50 states and beyond. Hey everybody, welcome back. To catch anybody up who hasn't listened previously to our podcast, Tim and I are getting married. We are getting married in February of 2027, and Tim surprised the heck out of me by proposing in January of 2025. That whole story is on another podcast, so you can go back in our library if you want to listen to our proposal story in more detail. But regardless, we're super excited to get married, very excited. When Tim proposed, I was extremely excited, and then we got home, and I was so stressed out at the thought of having to plan a wedding and all the details that go into it, and it just felt suffocating and overwhelming. So we came up with the idea of having our wedding at Disney, and to me, that's the only way it's going to work for me. Anybody that has listened to our podcast knows we are obsessed with Disney, and to me, I guess the stress would be balanced by the endorphins of thinking about planning everything at Disney. So we have gone ahead and jumped forward, and that's the direction that we're going in.
The just to kind of comment on the Disney part, just the complications of a wedding outside of Disney, just for us, I feel not worth it. And just the idea that there's a possibility that an official Mickey could be at our wedding.
That's top secret, Kim.
Could be. I'm just saying that's an option.
Yeah, there's lots of options.
Yeah. Yes. So as the adrenaline kind of started calming down after the initial maybe month of being engaged, we knew we had to get down to business because it was a big undertaking with planning a Disney wedding. Mm-hmm. And so we knew we had to be intentional to stay on track with this whole, I don't want to call it a project, but it kind of is a big project.
It's a monstrous project.
And so, so like everything else in our relationship, being intentional, we kind of found a way to slot in our calendar check, like when are we going to talk about the wedding? Mm-hmm. It just became part of our life. And so Amy would always, I'll get into it and get a little ahead of myself, but so they allow 1 year out. So we're February 2025 and we're engaged.
January.
January. And then February 2027, we decided early on that was going to be our wedding day.
Wedding month.
Yeah. And so the soonest we could actually start talking to Disney is 1 year out. Mm-hmm. And so that gave us a full year to work independently to start researching and learning, because we realized that there's a lot to it. It's like Disney, like there's just so many different worlds within Disney World. Yeah. And we were both kind of just, up until that point, it was just kind of like Disney cruises or like Disney Vacation Club. Until you get into it, it's just it's just over there. You don't really think about it. And so
it's a monstrous mystery.
Amy came across this podcast. I think it's just the Disney Wedding Podcast, or
yeah, I think so.
Carrie Hayward is this woman that runs it. She's amazing.
And
so she has a book that Amy found and we ended up purchasing. It's been it's like the Disney Wedding Bible.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Any Disney bride out there or want to be Disney bride, you have to buy this book.
Yes. And so we started reading that weekly and just making progress there. And then as we traveled to Disney throughout the months of that first year, Amy, it was a lot of Amy spearheading, like, hey, like, let's check out this venue, let's check out this. And a lot of times we couldn't even get in because you had to like set up a meeting, but we still kind of did some rogue.
We got into a lot of places that maybe we weren't allowed to be in, but I'm crafty.
Yeah, and we'll I'll make sure to put in the show notes about Carrie's book and her
The podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah.
And so after doing a little of our own research, we kind of became overwhelmed with all the different options, and like this one worked, but it didn't work. Like she might have liked it, but I didn't like it, or maybe we realized the cost didn't make sense in the vibe. And so we ended up calling Carrie Hayward. She has
you can consult with her.
Yeah, consult, and it's very affordable. I think it was like $30 for half an hour.
Yeah.
And
Carrie, raise your prices.
And we just were blown away with what she had to offer within that 30-minute call. And so she directed us towards a venue for our reception after telling her where we wanted to be have the wedding. And so she was like, "How about you try this?" And so we did it, and it just things started falling into place. And then so after that, we realized it's all right. We have to come up with a guest list, and that was challenging because of the size of the venue, and but we just stayed on track, and we worked together as a team. It wasn't. Not one decision has been made without consulting with the other partner. And so I guess that leads.
Yeah. So early on in the wedding process, I guess, even though I find myself to be a modern gal, sometimes I realize I'm still holding on to antiquated belief systems. So when Tim and I started to read the wedding book from Carrie, and there was like a chapter on floral, I was like, we don't need flowers. Like, we don't even need to read this. Like, I don't care about floral. And so Tim was like, oh, how do you know I don't care about floral? And I don't even think that it was that he necessarily cared about floral, or I don't know, maybe. But it was the fact that it didn't even dawn on me that he wanted to really be a equal contributor to the decisions. Like, I mean, I guess I don't have a lot of friends getting married, and I feel like back in the day, and sometimes still now, like it's the bride that makes a lot of decision and the guy just shows up. But that is not how Tim is, and I am grateful. It does feel good because I know all the decisions don't lie on my shoulders, so that part feels good.
Yeah, she called me Groomzilla.
I think you called yourself. No. You made up that title. I did not call you Groomzilla. You made it up.
No.
Well.
Anyway.
Regardless. He's our little Groomzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things are happening though now. So we finally hit February 2026. We had been waiting and waiting. I guess to rewind, 16 months out, you're allowed to contact Disney, but like they really, they kind of get some brief overview of what you're interested in, but you can't put it in for your date, like your ceremony and reception date, until 1 year out. So at this point, we've talked to like a head of the wedding planning division, but we still don't have our specific planner. When you do a wedding with Disney, though, you are assigned a planner, which is also fantastic because, again, if we were planning it like to have a wedding in Miami, we're in South Florida for anybody that hasn't watched the show before. I just can't imagine having to like be in charge of all of that. So we're very grateful that Disney provides a planner. So we've met with the planner, and then we've met with a room block specialist, which is kind of crazy because before you even start inviting people, they want to know how many rooms you want to set aside. So, but it's been exciting. Whittling down our guest list has been very, very challenging because our space that we've decided on is small. It made a lot of sense. We want to get married in the wedding pavilion at the Grand Floridian, which is absolutely stunning. Mm-hmm. And that was part of our conversation with Carrie. Tim's dad needs maybe a little, we just don't want him to have to go too far. And my mom sometimes has walking difficulties. So our White Hall is where our reception will be held. And that's all on the grounds of the Grand Floridian.
Yes.
So in order to keep it comfortable for certain members that were important to us, now we have a venue that only fits, about 50 people.
Yeah, it all worked out with Carrie's help. We didn't even really tell her that part, I don't think. She kind of it all just fell into place. Like,
I bet we may have mentioned that.
Yeah.
So she said to keep everything all in one property.
and
Yeah.
to save money too, because there's like a transportation
Oh, Lord.
specialist.
Yeah. If you want your reception at a different area, you have to pay for buses, and then you talk with the transportations, and it's not like it's like I think $1,200 for a bus. It's silly to add that when if there was a reception venue that we were blown away and we were like, this is the most magical place ever, then it could be worth it. But just out of all those options, nothing really stood out. So we're really happy with what we have now.
Yeah. And so the closer, we're getting to this 1 year out, the date, having to decide on the date became, it's like we originally had one date, and then it's like, oh, well, this date actually makes more sense. Like, how about this? We kind of just were flipping back and forth and not really sure what to do. And then we put, with Disney, you have to put in 3 options when you are at that point where you're allowed to like officially book. And so you're in a lottery system with other people that if they want that same date. And we had Valentine's Day and then also 2/18. And so, we actually put Valentine's Day as our number 1 pick at a certain time. And then was it 2/18 was pick number 2, or do we have 2? I think we actually had 2
times on Valentine's Day,
our
but
number 1 and 2.
One was earlier, which I actually really didn't want. But to kind of go back, like we were having a hard time agreeing on a date. We originally had some different dates that we had talked about, and they started to not resonate with me. And so then, since I was a child, the number 2/18 it's like it plays in my head. And it's just, I always felt that 2/18 is going to be a really important number for me one day. And so I got kind of stuck on it. And then in numerology, the day, the month, and the year equal 1111. So I felt like that was really a beautiful date. But Tim was open to it, but was interested in having, I think, the Valentine's Day date above 2/18.
I mean,
and I suddenly I shifted too, because I know it's not all about me. So I actually really did want that afternoon on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and the whole process, I think it was more challenging than I was expecting. Is kind of it's like each phase of this whole operation, it's like we come up to like a bump, and then it's like, all right, figure it out. Like, kind of make some choices.
Yeah.
What's going to work? What's not going to work? And then it's like, all right, on to the next thing, and on to the next thing. And
it's like running a business.
Yeah,
it is. But so I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to make sure we know. So I think we kind of just let it go to the universe. And we said, okay, if it's meant to be on Valentine's Day, we're going to get Valentine's Day. And if it's meant to be on 2/18, and then we did not win that afternoon wedding spot on Valentine's Day, but we did get the 2/18, and I think that we both are just at peace with it.
Yeah, it's a Thursday, correct?
Yeah, it's a Thursday.
Yeah, and so it just all worked out, and so this whole process has been emotionally challenging. I feel like I was way more stressed out than I was expecting to be, just in general. Like I've never it's a new journey. And one of the main parts of the early processing is inviting people, or just reaching out to people. For us, since it's a destination wedding for a lot of people, that reaching out to friends and family across the country. And we are having it at an adult only wedding because to keep the list smaller because of the venue and all that. And just that's not going to work for some people that have children. That it's just not going to work. And so I just wasn't expecting that. Like I just didn't really think that through when inviting people. That just certain people I thought would come aren't able to come, and maybe people that I thought wouldn't want to come are able to come. And so it's just a lot of like emotional, whoa, you can't come, oh, you can, oh. And so I just kind of got caught up in all that, and had to kind of work through these feelings of just expectations I might have had, and just it's a lot of processing feelings, and
Not taking it personally if somebody can't attend.
Yeah, and so Amy was there, as my partner, and she was really able to just be there for me as, along this whole process. It's a really, I mean, it makes sense to do this wedding thing. I mean, you really have to be in a strong Because
Yeah.
it's just like
This is not for the weak. If you have a so-so relationship, don't travel this path.
yeah. And so moving forward, we're signing I wouldn't say the law of attraction because it's the LOA, the law of agreement.
I like that one too. I'll sign that one too.
The letter of agreement.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that it's the LOA, law of
Yeah.
attraction.
I
That's
like
been
it a
a
lot.
thing of our relationship.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
things are moving. It's like things are just rocking and rolling. We're moving forward.
Yeah. We've
And-
signed on the dotted line. It's really
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
people.
They're
Happening.
starting to take our money.
Yeah, that's the next step. Yeah, this weekend I have to give our first deposit.
Yeah.
Take my money, Disney.
Yeah, we're happy. We're happy
Yeah.
to give it to them.
Yeah.
If we have to give it to somebody.
Yeah, we give it to them anyway, and no regrets on that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of
awesome.
brings us to today.
Yeah, it sure does. So why did we choose to talk about this for our podcast today? Well, whether you're planning a wedding or any sort of large project or event that you're planning with somebody, we realize that it really helps to go at it with intentionality. Like Tim mentioned, like we set up literal wedding meetings, and maybe that doesn't sound so romantic, but we put it in our planner. And I think that that's why and how we've been able to get as far along as we are. Like when we read the book, that wedding book from Carrie Hayward, again, it's fantastic. We would literally have meetings scheduled where we would sit down and read page. I'd take a page, he would take a page. And we had to make sure that we made time for it, or the thing, I don't want us to feel behind in this process in any way. I mean, we now are like 11 months out, which sounds like a lot of time, but it's going to go quickly and there's a lot of decisions to be made. So we kind of chunked it down and we're taking it piece by piece. And I have learned to not make assumptions. And I think, Tim too, like any new idea, whenever we get an email from Disney, we wait and we read it together. Unless it's like an answer to a main email that we've already opened together previously. And just no assumptions, and anything is on the table. We get to talk it out and come to mutual agreement on things. Or if we don't seem to agree right away, we each talk about how we feel about it. And we're a pretty amicable couple, and we can usually see each other's point of view. So keeps it really healthy. And at the end of the day, we're choosing to do it this way to protect our relationship. So like we mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, we are only putting out our podcast now twice a month. Our podcast is great and it's a lot of fun, but a lot more work than we expected. And, our love and our wedding has to come first. So that is what we're doing.
Yeah, we originally started this podcast for 4 episodes a month, and that actually felt like a lot, but it was still doable. But as the podcast or the wedding started to pick up steam, it just
it's not worth burning out
Yeah.
and not being the best versions of ourselves for each other
Yeah.
at such a special time or any time.
And another point to make, like with zooming out, is to like we're getting married, like remembering this whole like signing these letters and picking room blocks and all these different things, and to just like, whether it's a wedding or a business or like anything, like maybe a band, like why did you start this project? Because like we love each other and we expect this this big day to be important to us, and
We sure do.
And so it's easy to get lost in the details is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so the next thing I'd like to talk about here is our listener invite, which we do every episode. And so how have you handled working with someone you love on a big project? For us, I think the podcast and the wedding kind of started happening at the same time.
Hindsight is always 2020.
And so we always spend a lot of time together, but this is like a new way of spending time together.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the foundations of our relationship have been really strong.
Yes.
And so it's able to build on that. But I mean, maybe in other people's relationships, that's why I'm interested to hear, starting a big project with a close
Friend, lover.
Yeah. It's like a different type of relationship that can, make it stronger, or it also could break it apart if it's not.
Yeah. And I think you have to keep in mind, I mean, one thing I'm noticing, like, both of these things, the podcast and the wedding, they do take a lot of time, which takes away some of our maybe more casual hanging out time, or like relaxing and watching a movie on the couch, kind of like, I mean, there's only so many hours that you have in a week. So, you know, you just got to go into these big things knowing that.
Yeah, things shift, and it's important. You know, probably I mean, you get a pet, you get kids.
Some people get kids.
Yeah. So and then if there's anything we missed, maybe talking about this whole thing, just let us know. We're always happy to hear from you guys.
Oh, we're so happy. We'd love to hear from you more. Please, everybody, we want to hear from you. So I think we're at the time of our show where we do our happily ever after, which is usually some kind of little fun game, so you guys can get to know Tim and I better. And I brought this up in a recent episode. It's a little card game called Our Moments, Couples Edition. They have a family edition as well. And they're just, you know, you pick a card and it's got a topic and you answer the question and you get to know each other a little bit better. So, dear Lord, let this be an easy one. We don't know what we're going to be answering. So,
how about I read this one to you?
Oh, geez, Louise. Here we go.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh, geez. I'm supposed to think of that on the spot. I've got it. I get it a lot, and I'm very honored when people tell me I'm a really good mom. That is something that I've been intentional since before the kids were ever in my belly. And I've always wanted my kids to feel it, and my kids tell me I'm a really good mom. So that's huge. Okay, how about you, Tim?
So I am thinking, and just because of nerves, it's hard for me to think of things, but the first thing that came to my mind was, maybe it was like 10, 12 years ago, a boss that I had. I think he was drunk. We were like hanging out, maybe like at a concert. Yeah, it was a band, one of the coworkers, and he was like, Tim, he's like, you are the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. And it was like just a random day, random, and it just, he was drunk, but it was still like,
That's when the truth comes out.
And so I like that.
I'll reiterate, you are the kindest person I've ever met. That's
Thank you.
very, very true.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. Well, we thank you guys so much for spending your time with us today, and we hope that you enjoyed hearing about where we are so far in our wedding process. And as things start heating up, I think we'll make some more podcasts, because, I mean, maybe not everybody, but I would like to hear the inside scoop on what happens in a Disney wedding and the choices that you have to make. So we'll put some more of this content out.
Yeah, very, very good. So just want to say thank you guys for listening, spending another 20-something minutes with us. We always enjoy sharing our content and coming up with these topics with you guys. So you can continue to listen to us anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and I think iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. Just type in Our Life is a Honeymoon and
But there's a similar Kid Rock song, not that one. Just make sure it's us.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Our Life is a Honeymoon Official. And again, if you hear anything that resonated with you today in the episode, you can go on social media, put it in the DMs. You can email us at ourlifeisahoneymoonofficial@gmail.com. We check it all the time. Where are you guys? We would love to hear from you, for reals. It would make our universe if somebody would email us.
Yeah, and just commenting on this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, like it. Right, subscribe, all those things.
Yes, help some friends out.
We're slowly growing, and it's fun to see that. You know, occasionally we'll get a follower here and there, listens on different parts of the country.
Different countries.
Yeah, different countries.
Yeah, a lot of different countries, actually.
So if you'd like to support us, you can buy us a Mickey Pretzel at buymeacoffee.com/ourlifeisahoneymoon. And review us on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, on Spotify. And I think that's about it. So
we appreciate anything you can do to help us grow. And these are easy ways that would really mean a lot to us. So we thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. So maybe that was a delivery. I know I'm like, oh my